Hey guys, Hugh Shang here. Welcome to another StarCraft 2 lesson. We're going to be watching a Zergverse Protoss today. It's from a little known player named Serral. And he's against a little known player named herO. So, pretty low-key match at Katowice. Nobody important. But we're going to look at this guy's ZVP because it's pretty damn good. I think herO had 4 Zergs in his Katowice group. And he played against Solar, a Laser, and DRG, I believe. And those those series, he freaking obliterated everybody. Like, they weren't even close. It was like he did his opening attack and it just won like every single game. So when he played Serral, I was expecting a pretty good slugfest here. But even though like herO's builds tended to be decent, Serral kind of made him look pretty bad in this series. So we're going to be looking at Serral's ZVP, trying to see what makes him tick, how we can have some good ZVP ourselves, and yeah, just do some deep analysis. So I've already watched this game a few times to try to pick up some details for you guys. And yeah, we're just doing like a pretty standard hatch first here. We've got our first Overlord going across to the natural. And the second Overlord is something that I've started doing recently. So I feel very validated right now. He's got his second Overlord coming to his second base for the cannon rush. And then he's shifting that to behind the Protoss main. You can see him going there right now. And the idea here is just like, make sure you're safe against cannon rush, but then get your Overlord into position to scout the Protoss later. Just because you need a little more information than one Overlord can provide. Like, you kind of want to see if they're still mining gas sometimes in their main. And you want to get the tech scout, but then on top of that, you also want to later on in the game see whether these gases have been taken or not. So that kind of, it helps you a lot against like Twilight openings or Robo openings where they could be doing like a really fast opening all in, where they maybe only take like 2 gas and go to like 32 probes. So those builds can be super scary if you don't spot them. Whereas if you like mass a lot of units early expecting that, and they go for like disruptor drop into Forge or something third base, then you're like completely screwed. So, you know, just getting the initial tech scout is not quite enough against those openings. So you need this additional third and fourth gas scout as well. And I'm going to pause here because there's actually something that Serral needed to pick up on right here. It looks standard, but it's actually not. And I mean, if you can pick up on what's going on right now, you're better than Serral because Serral completely missed this. And I don't blame him at all because I've literally never seen this build. What herO did here is like actually incredibly smart. He basically, he went for a second gateway, proxied on the map, and it almost looks exactly normal. It looks very close to standard, but it's not. And basically what Serral needed to pick up on, and I'm sure he's gonna, you know, adjust after playing this game, probably won't work again against Serral, is this Nexus is actually about like a quarter less complete than it should be. And the reason for that is because herO went for the second gate and then went for the Nexus. So there's actually a gateway proxied over here. And yeah, the only information you can pick up on is this Nexus build time. And it's just very, very subtle. So Serral did miss that. But honestly, brilliant build order from herO. Very, very hard to notice something like that. So we're going to go about our normal strat here. Pulling off gas. I want to point out, Serral pulled off 3. I've been saying this for like months and months and months. Leaving one guy in gas makes literally no sense. It's like, it's clearly inferior to pulling all 3 off because if you leave one on, you're lowering your mineral count temporarily. And the early game minerals are so critical. Like, it's so much better to fill this up later. So we pull everybody off. I just had to get it off my chest. I'm very passionate about pulling all 3 off instead of all 2 off. And we're going to make 4 Zerglings. And another little tip for you guys is you really want to get the tech scout off of Protoss. So it's very critical that you see which tech building they're going for. Obviously, we're in the dark right now, but eventually we're going to see what it is. And there's a bunch of ways you could do it. You could fly this Overlord in. It's pretty solid. And then fly your second Overlord behind the mineral line, like I said earlier, for the gas scout. That's one way. But it's slightly risky because if Protoss goes for a Stalker, they can snipe your first Overlord. And, I mean, probably not a problem in, like, Master League or GM. But, you know, if you're playing herO, it adds up. So that's one way to do it. But another way you could do it is you can have one of your Zerglings kind of run across the map, and as the Adept leaves, you can run that in. And obviously the Ling is pretty cheap, so you don't care if that dies. And then that can get the Tech Scout, and then you're good to go. So that's kind of what Serral's playing for here. And then you can have 3 of your Lings just stay back to defend the first Adept. Also, Serral, clearly the GOAT. He's going to take these early 3 Lings and he's going to send them around the map to look for proxies, just in case herO was proxying. And normally this would be sick, because if you look at this Adept, this is like the normal time an Adept would pop. It finishes at like 2:30. So there's really no risk to sending these Lings out and trying to get some info and then pull them back later on once the Adept would be, you know, getting closer to your base, and you're still safe. One second, I need some water. Okay, so we're gonna send these out, but the problem is there's already an Adept here because of herO's, you know, sneaky proxy, and I'm sure Serral was shocked to see this Adept. But now we're gonna have to play catch up, because we're really not prepared for this. We don't have any Zerglings. Like, we've been making a couple drones here. And I think if Serral knew this was coming, he would have had these 2 drones become Zerglings, or maybe at least one of them become Zerglings. And he probably also wouldn't have went for this this scout with the Lings. So that's a bit unfortunate. We don't really have anything at home right now, and so this defense starts to get pretty sketchy. But luckily, he's able to make those drones into spores, which was pretty clutch. And I don't even know if he knows what's going on right now because it's such an obscure thing that herO's going for. But yeah, he's got 3 Adepts already. I kind of feel like Serral didn't know what's going on because he just made like 6 Lings. They're really late here, honestly. And I'll point out there's a bit of multitasking going on, but Serral has scouted the Twilight at this point. So if you see a Twilight, what you're going to want to do is go for a Roach Warren. Baneley Nest is also possible, but it's not as solid because the Protoss, if they can micro, I mean, kind of an oxymoron there, Protoss and micro. But if they can micro, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because the Banes, I mean, you use them and they're gone, right? So it's not very good unless the Banes connect with a group of Adept. So we're going to go Roaches. And if you saw like Stargate, you could go for Spores. Okay, so we got that info. So we're going to go for a Roach Warren. But Serral's not going to rush it here because there's quite a few Adepts on the map. And the Twilight Council is quite delayed. So it's not like a classic, delayed 4-gate Adept. It's much quicker. So we're going to go for a bunch of Zerglings first. They don't have Glaives yet, so there's no real need for the Roaches. That's like for later. So lots of Zerglings coming in. Maybe a bit too much at this point, honestly. But I'm sure Serral has literally never played against this build order. I'm positive, actually. So pretty good defense so far. Now that we're kind of floating a little bit of money and we're kind of, we got Lings to defend the Adepts, I think he's starting to feel more safe. And so this is when he throws down the Roach Warren. And now we got to start kind of preparing for the Glaives. So yeah, we're kind of hunting these Adepts a little bit. I think partially he's making so many Lings right now because he really has no idea what's going on. He's trying to figure it out. And so we're committing a little too much for the defense, objectively. But it's kind of good because you don't know what's going on. So you might as well mass Lings until you figure it out. And then you can kind of, start droning when you feel like you know what's going on. So I think here he's kind of figured out it's a Glaive build. It could be DT too, though, for sure. But, you're making this many Adept and you're still on 2 gas. If you look at the minimap, you can see that herO is still on, I guess he could technically be on 3, but he hasn't taken both his gas. So that's an indication he's not going for DT. We might see Serral still throw down like 1 Spore, though. And then once you kind of know it's this build, The default benchmark that you want to aim for is like 38 drones. So if I show you Serral's drone count right now, you can see that he's actually quite a bit under. So when I look at this game, I feel like he misplayed the opening. He didn't know what was going on with the 2 gates, and so he's actually quite behind right now. Okay, we have this Overlord coming in the natural, and we're seeing that herO is starting to grab his gas. And I think based off of this, he sees the transition and he goes, okay, I can actually get up to like maybe 38 drones now. We can see him droning. And yeah, Serral consistently plays like this. He never really over drones. He's always verifying that it's okay to do that first. And I think that's really, really important. I think that's honestly the main reason he's so consistently a top Zerg player, is because he really never breaks that rule. So we're here at 38 drones. You'll notice Protoss is a little bit ahead, but yeah, it's not ideal, but there is a reason you can get away with this, and the reason is that it's quite hard for Protoss to take their third base following these builds because you have so many more units than them, and so stopping at like 38 drones is really, really solid against this type of attack. So you don't really want to go more than that. Once we deal with these, then we can start droning, and we'll threaten the Protoss' third base, and then we can get into a decent eco position usually. Cool. So yeah, so now we're fine. We've dealt with these adepts, and the question is like, you know, how many drones do we go for? So we obviously have enough units to defend the adepts, so we're not super worried about dying anymore. But we do want to verify that Protoss is actually going to expand. So, you know, maybe like 52 is what I usually aim for. I actually don't remember what Serral gets here, but I would aim for like 52, because until the Protoss gets a third base, you don't want to be going past that point. That's kind of like my absolute max. So he's here on like 46 so far, making some units. Maybe this is a bit more accurate. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to trust whatever Serral does. He's actually still making a few more drones. And yeah, and then once you get to that drone count, again, you want to like verify. You want to do another check. Make sure Protoss is going to take their third base. And if they don't take their third base, then you just never go past that point. And if they do, like right now, we can start droning again. So, I mean, it looks to me like Serral thinks about like 46 is good. He's at 52 now. He's pushing past the point I suggested because we now see a third base. And yeah, once you see this, you can go to like maybe 60, 66. You can really drone quite a bit. And then you need to verify that Protoss is going for like not a 3 base all in. So that's like the next benchmark. So we can go to like 66. We can grab all our basic roach tech and upgrades. And then we need to verify again. So currently we're at, what, 57 drones. So we're not quite where we want to be yet. So, I mean, it looks like we're adding a couple roaches here and there just to make sure we can defend the prism. But mostly we're droning here. Going into like Roach, Ravager, Bane. And right here, this is a very important Ling Scout. So we see, you know, some Sentry, some Immortal. We see the third base being taken again. So sometimes Protoss will go for like a third base and then you cancel it and they decide to all in. Yes. So that's what we're verifying there. And I think this is like the important scout right here is he hits 66. And as soon as he hits 66, he's making sure he can go past this point again. Like you're not going to see him go past 66 until he verifies that herO's not doing a 3 base all in. You should also notice there's like there's no infestation pit. There's no like double evo. There's no Hydra Den. We're not getting any of that stuff because this could still be an all in. And if you start getting that stuff thinking like this is a macro game and then you get hit by like mass stalkers, you're probably going to die, right? So you have to verify right here first. So right here, we see like another robo coming in. So this tells Serral that it's I mean, it could be like Immortals, I guess, and Storm, but it's likely Colossus because of the sentries. And I mean, he's already seen herO play this style before, so very likely. He also sees the gas is being taken. And so if you're going to do like a 3-base villain, you wouldn't really take the gas to make it efficient. So now we know herO's macroing. And we also know that herO's going for Colossus. So the obvious choice here is to get an Infestation Pit and to start droning. Okay, we're going to deal with this first, but yeah, we see the drones coming in. We see the Infestation Pit on the production tab. And yeah, I don't know what the exact number is. I think you can feel pretty comfortable going to like maybe 75. Actually, that's exactly what he has. And we can also get the second Evo. You know, we can get the Hive. We can get Infestation Pit. We can drone. We can maybe get a 5th base. Like, we're not super worried about any sort of all-ins anymore. And one thing that Serral is doing here that I'm definitely not doing is not making like any Banes unless he has to. Like, you see he has tons of tech, but he's really only making a couple Banes when he needs them. So I think you saw herO like move out with some Stalker there. And so he added like 9 Banes. But if you look at his gas, it's like super high. Like he really is not spending his gas unless he needs to, which is something I don't do with Zerg. So that's pretty cool. You'll see him just bank that like the whole game. Like, it actually gets absurd. He has like 1600 gas at one point. So Hive's coming in. He's basically like speed running the Viper to counter the Colossus. And I think this poke here was just to you know, pressure this 4th. I'm not sure how committed this is, honestly. It didn't feel super committed because he's got so much gas in the bank. I think it was more to like set up this Bane run by. Otherwise, he would have made a lot more Banes with his gas. So really, really light poke there. And then I don't know. He's trying to buy time for the Viper, I think. Once we get the Viper, it's like pretty easy to kill this army. And then right here, you see like he's actually getting attacked by herO, or like he's done some eco damage, so it's likely herO's going to push him here. And you can see like he spends all of his gas immediately on Banes only. which is wild. Usually the way I do it is I stay on like a lower gas count and don't make a lot of Bane. I try to make like Zergling, but apparently Banes are the way. Only Banes. His army is like more Banes than Zerglings. It's wild. A little bit of posturing to buy time for the Viper again. As long as you get those Viper in the fight, it's like you're gonna crush. But if you don't have the Viper to pull the Colossus, it's tough. So herO really needed to like push the aggression here. And Serral bought like, it's so tight. He literally bought just enough time to get these Vipers some energy in the fight. Pulls the Colossus in. Has the Banes move commanded past the army here. And then the Roaches kind of do the cleanup. Really, really tough fight here. Mostly because he's behind, right? Like from early game. It wasn't so great. But yeah, really, really nice play. One Swarm Host. Gotta do that if you're a Zerg player. And this next part of the game was super interesting to me too, because what I would do in this position is, you know, take another base, start droning up, and get like a nice eco. Usually with Zerg, you tend to go for a higher eco than the opponent. But the way Serral plays this is like something I would not expect, actually. He actually does not drone from this point out, I believe. Let's see. 71? Yeah, he doesn't drone from here on out. And he ends up with like a crazy low drone count. It's super weird. So we're still just massing Roach. And yeah, from herO's perspective, it's kind of weird because you lose all your tech units. And it's really, really hard to replace them. Like, you kind of want to probe up. But you also want to get like Colossus, but you can't get Colossus because of the Vipers. So you kind of want to go for Storm. But if you go for Storm, then you got to make Zealots, and you know, Serral's like massing Banelings. so herO's position is like is super difficult. So what Serral does is he just like never drones at this position. He literally just never makes drones. It's so wild to me. Lots of roaches coming in, and he's basically just preparing for like a massive Viper push. Like, still no drones. He's literally just making units. I can't even express how baffling this is to me. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a Zerg pause here on like 60 workers versus a Protoss that's on 70 and go for a push. It's like, it's so strange. It's like something Bly would do, honestly. Except it seems a little more solid. And then, yeah, and then we just get closer to max here. Nice little dodge there, kill the observer. And then once we max, we're going to go for like a massive Roachling Bane push. And because herO has kind of like lost his tech, and because he's like reprobing, so he has less army, this attack is like, it's so scary. If I was playing here, I'd be traumatized at how much stuff Serral has. I'd probably put it down to like Serral being insane at the game, but like a big part of it here is actually just that he didn't make drones. Okay, a little bit of run bys. Still no drones though. It's so crazy. I keep repeating it. Maybe you're like, what's the big deal? But I've literally never seen a Zerg do this. But it makes sense. I mean, he's got the Viper. He's got like a massive army, you know, attack lead. And he's really going to put it to work right here. So hero's trying to take a 5th base. herO really wishes he had Storm here. And he's like, look at the supply. He's a 50 supply. It's actually absurd. And herO has like only Stalker. And yeah, he just gets absolutely steamrolled here. Definitely gonna have to try this if I get a nice tech lead with Ravager Link Bane. Like, God, it's so disgusting. It's actually so disgusting how much stuff he has right now. And I mean, there's honestly like nothing herO can do here without some AoE. Like, he's microing his Blink Stalkers, but he just has such a deficit in army. It's like, it's insane. So yeah, just gets absolutely bopped here. Who would have thought stopping at, what is this, 56 workers and doing a massive attack? But yeah, very cool play. Destroys herO. And the other game was kind of like this too, so maybe I'll do analysis of the game too. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. That's all for the video. If you want some coaching, hit me up on Discord, or just go through my website, hushangcoaching.com. That's all. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.